Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we got to talk. So, about 3 months ago, I pull up to a post office and I'm actually about to walk into the post office to my P.O. box. On my way to the front door, I passed this little black Nissan. I don't know what kind of car it was, a little black Nissan. And when I walked past that Nissan, I heard click, click. And we all know what that sound is. It was the sound of somebody locking the door from the inside. So I look over, as anybody else would do. I look over, and the lady and I just made eye contact. She was looking right at me with big old eyes, looking scared. Like, oh. So I look at her and I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. Because I'm thinking, in her mind, she must have thought, this guy is walking into the post office, but on the way to the post office, he's going to stop and grab my car door and open it, and I guess yank her out and do who knows what with her. I guess is what she thought. I don't know. Uh, Keep in mind, I was actually on my way to the PO box to get about $40,000 worth of checks written to my companies. I'm college educated. I've got my degree in business. I've got about 120 employees in all the businesses that I run, and I became a millionaire like 5 years ago. So the thoughts of me stopping on my way to the PO box to get $40,000 out of this PO box to grab this lady and do something to her was crazy to me. It made me wonder, why would somebody think something like that? Had another a story when I was walking through Dillard's, and this was maybe 10 years ago. Walking through Dillard's, and I'm behind a lady. She's probably about 50 years old, maybe, and a little white girl. She's probably 6 years old. Two white folks. I'm walking behind them through the store. And keep in mind, this is Dillard's, so I guess I don't know. I guess a certain type of person shops at Dillard's. I don't know. So I'm walking through there behind these folks, just going through there so I can get to the actual mall area. And they didn't notice I was behind them. So she's, the lady is walking. I can notice she's looking this way, looking that way, looking at stuff on the racks as she's walking. And one time she looked to the left and she saw me out the corner of her eye. And when she saw me, she actually made a sound that said, out loud, like that. And when she did that, she grabbed the little girl. I don't know if it was her daughter or her granddaughter. I don't know. Grabbed her, put her hand on her chest, and pulled her to the side. And they both sat there and watched me walk past them. They didn't try to act like they were looking at this thing or try to act like they had to stop to grab these shoes off the rack. Nothing like that. She stopped, pulled her to the side, looked at me, and watched me walk past. Once I finally got past her in this well-lit store where there's employees and other shoppers all over the place, once I got past her about 15, let's say 10, 15 feet, then they resumed walking in the same direction. Why would anybody do that? Right? So the reason why I'm doing this video today is based on a video that I saw from a guy named Young Don Reacts. I just found his channel recently, and I'm a huge fan of his channel. What he's talking about in this video is specific to what I just explained to y'all. There's people who live in rural areas who don't deal with white folks most of the time. And the only thing that they know about black people is what's being portrayed online. It's what's being portrayed to the media. It's what's being portrayed by the administration. All of those things. So it makes folks, whenever a black person does something violent or vile, or if they just seem incredibly uneducated, that stuff typically somehow finds its way front page of the internet. Look at this guy. Look what this black person just did. Look how violent he is. And when that happens, it makes people who don't typically deal with white folks, it makes them think that must be how all black people act, right? So we're going to get to this video here real quick, and I'm just going to let him do the majority of the talking here and take it over, and I'll stop throughout the video and I'll talk a little bit more towards the end. But I wanted to give a quick little intro just to give an explanation on why I thought this video was really important. Before, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to continue building this thing one like and one subscription at a time. Let's go ahead and get to it.
Every accusation is but a confession. You will not see Candace Owens. You will not see Brandon Tatum. You will not see the Hodge twins. You will not see Myron Gaines. You will not see any of these Republicans talk about this story. Why aren't they talking about it? This is insane. Check this out, guys. Exclusive. Mom speaks out after family is brutally stabbed. Now, when I first saw this, I was curious as to why the suspect or the assailant wasn't in the thumbnail, because, you know, they like to do that. But it all becomes quite clear when we get to actually listen to the story. So let's check this out.
And we start with the 12 News.
Real quick, I do think what he just said is really important, though. If you go look at what like the Hodge twins do, just go look at their channel real quick. Just type in Hodge twins and look at their channel, look at their thumbnails, look at the topics, the titles of their videos. You'll see like black in all caps. It'll be like black man assaults white person, and it's like, why are you making the black part such a huge part of this thing, right? So I think what he just said there was pretty important.
Exclusive. A Mesa mom is speaking out for the first time
Wow.
since she and her children were viciously attacked inside of their apartment.
Her own children also viciously assaulted in her own apartment.
Totally at random, a terrifying attack. 12 News journalist Maria Stobbs now joining us live in studio with this exclusive update.
Now, aren't all crimes random? What do you mean totally at random? All crimes, for the most part, the victims, to them it feels random. But why is it random when this guy does it? You're going to see why. You already know.
Right. Well, you can just imagine how awful they've been feeling both emotionally and physically after enduring severe stab wounds. She told me about the attack
Severe.
and the idea she had that likely saved her life.
Okay.
We survived.
Oh my God, bro. This poor woman. Look at her. Look at her eye. Bloodshot. Face completely marred with lacerations from a brutal attack.
We did that as a family.
For Jackie Horn, each step with her
Oh,
walker
my God.
is a reminder of a brutal attack on her family
She
less
still is relearning to walk. That's how serious this was.
than a week ago. It was around 4 in the morning when she
Jesus.
heard a loud noise.
Oh my God, I need to do something. Like, I can't, like, I've got to save the kids.
The intruder went for her 16-year-old daughter first.
I
Wow.
hear Layla start to yell, Mom.
Now you hear this story. We haven't seen the assailant yet. You hear this story. What has the media, what has this country trained you to believe that is the identity of the person most likely to be doing this right now? You already know what they want you to believe. But it's not what happened here, and it's not what happens 80% of the time. That's what the data tells us. But we're going to take it easy. We're going to take it slow.
Mom, and it's getting more frantic.
Jackie rushed into her daughter's bedroom with a hammer.
And he's on top of her, straddling her.
She and her other daughter, Jax, jumped into action, allowing Layla to escape.
I think I hit him at least twice. And then all of a sudden, he's on top of me on the floor in their bedroom. And I see him raise his hand, and I see the metal of a knife.
The unknown man stabbing her several times.
Pure, like, evil and rage. I've never seen anybody's eyes look like that before.
Jackie pulled the knife away, but the man continued beating her.
My eye just explodes. I see all of these colors.
Then Jackie had an idea to play dead.
And as soon as I like slump over, I kind of make it dramatic, like, and he just gets up and he freaking runs out the door. I tell my kids, I look at him and I said, I love you guys so much. And I want you guys to know that.
The suspect
There
is
he is.
22-year-old Lowell Dorn, seen
22-year-old, whatever the fuck he named, Laurel Dorn. There he is. Now, this is not an anomaly. This is not an exception to the rule. This is what you should have expected. If you didn't expect him to look like this, it's because you've been brainwashed. You've been a victim of white supremacy. Because the data clearly tells us that over 80% of all violent crimes committed against white people is committed by white people.
I think that stat is pretty important. We've been seeing what the administration is talking about make it seem like Hispanics and black folks commit all the crimes in the United States. And it's like, nah, it's not really like that, you know? So when you look at this estimated offender race in homicides of white victims, and if you look, 82% of the time, it's committed by white victims. We always hear about black on black crime. It's so out of hand. This is white on white crime. It's right here in front of you. It's just the media doesn't show this type of stuff. It makes people think black folks are hyper violent. They're uneducated. They're animalistic. But when you just look at the data, it tells a whole different story.
This is why the Hodge twins will not talk about this. Brandon Tatum isn't going to talk about this. And the Hodge twins were just trying to cry to you and tell you that they're not sellouts, that it's about, it doesn't matter who it is that's committing the crimes. Well, why don't you talk about this? Huh? Why don't you talk about this? You're not going to, though, because he's white. Like, take a look at these clowns, man. The conservative twins with 3 million subscribers. Here, just a day ago, liberal says the unthinkable about white people being murdered on public transportation is probably what he says here, right? Just a day ago, 200,000 views. 8 days ago, black privilege strikes another defenseless white woman. Almost 400,000 views less than a week, well, about a week ago. Black privilege strikes again. So clearly the Hodge twins seem to be very much concerned with white women being brutalized in any capacity. This is their opportunity to prove that they're not sellouts. Now, of course, they can't do that with just one video, which is why there ain't no point in them doing it, because they're going to continue to do this nonsense. But I guarantee you they're not going to cover it. Let's see what the comment section say under this video. Black privilege strikes another defenseless white woman. Prison does not help stop crime. A rope and a tree stops crime. Look at this. Could you imagine?
For real, a rope and a tree stops crime. For real. This stuff it's so dangerous. Folks like Candace Owens, folks like Hodge twins, when they get online and they try to appease and they try to push these crazy thoughts home, what happens is, like, people in the media will say black folks do this, they're these horrible people, right? They're these violent people. And then whenever you have people like the Hodge twins who are black, or folks like Candace Owens who is black, and they get online and they push that same narrative and say, yeah, it is true, I'm black and I'm telling you it's true, then it makes folks say, oh, well, if a black person says it, it's got to be true, that's just how they are. But I'm a black person. I'm telling you, this stuff is not like that. It's just not.
Posting videos and your own fans are saying we need to go back to lynching these niggas. Feeding these violent N-words, feet first into a wood chipper stops crime. A bullet to the effing head stops crime. Wow.
Here, just hours after the attack, trying to break into another home. Police say he admitted to breaking into Jackie's apartment with intent to kill.
Jesus,
he admitted that he has mental health issues.
Oh,
and
right. Because all violent criminals don't have mental health issues. You have to. If you commit random acts of violence, there is something wrong with your brain.
Straight up.
Clearly.
If you wake up in the morning, I don't care what color you are, I don't care what race you are. If you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm going to go in a random house, that one, and I'm going to take a knife and I'm just going to start stabbing folks, you obviously have some type of mental health stuff going on. Obviously. But think of how often you've seen, like, just Google black man commits this crime. Just Google it or just look it up on YouTube and find how many of those videos when they're showing black folks committing a crime. Tell me what percentage of those videos will say this person had some kind of mental health issue. I can tell you right now it's going to be less than 10% easily. Most likely less than 3% of the videos you find will say this person committed this crime because he's got some mental health issues. Now, if you do the same type of search and you search white folks committing these same type of vile crimes, about 35 to 55% of those is going to say, oh, he has some type of mental health. He needs some prayer. He needs help. It's just it's this double standard that's been shown for years and years and years.
It doesn't get to be an excuse. It's not an excuse for any of them. Not when they shoot up schools, not when they shoot up restaurants, not when they drive cars filled with bombs into churches. That happened recently. That dude was publicly pro-MAGA and pro-Charlie Kirk. We have to correct the narrative because that's what racism, that's what bigotry is built upon. It's built upon lies. It's built on a house of lies.
Straight up.
Without it, it all gets resolved.
Illegal drugs.
Dorn remains behind bars on a $2 million cash bond.
Wow.
I'm very glad that they found him, but it doesn't take away the fear.
Jackie is expected to heal from a brain bleed and eye injury.
Jeez,
Her two
man.
daughters also
Oh.
have severe stab wounds. And there's the unseen wounds of trauma.
Right.
You hear random things that happen to people, and everybody thinks it's not going to be you. And we know it can be us now, and I think
Yeah.
that's always going to be in the back of our mind.
See, if I was Nick Fuentes, though, and the assailant was a black man, he would take this as evidence, as validation, as proof, as authority for why it's okay to say, be afraid of all black people.
That's a fact. That kind of stuff, like those kind of videos, is fuel for people like Nick Fuentes. It's fuel for them. They find, and Hodge twins and Candace Owens, they find these kind of, and Officer Tatum, they find those kind of videos where a black person assaulted a white person somewhere, and they're like, see, this is what black people do. This is it. This is why DEI shouldn't be a thing. Like they figure out a way to twist it and make it some kind of political thing when it's nothing like that. It's crazy.
That's what Nick Fuentes would do with this situation if that was the situation. But
True.
if I now get up on here and say, be afraid of all young white men, be afraid of all white men, now I'm a black supremacist. Now I'm a racist. Guys, you need to see that this is the truth. This is the real America you live in. If you're white, the most dangerous person to you is another white person. I don't say that to tell you to be afraid of white people, but if you find that you see a random white guy walking down the street, doesn't bother you, but you see a random black guy walking down the street and you get the heebie-jeebies, you have been brainwashed.
Just think about the story I told earlier about me walking to the P.O. box. I have to believe, man, I gotta believe if I was a white dude dressed like I was dressed, she never would have locked that door. She wouldn't have assumed that I was going to cause her harm. She wouldn't have reached over to push that lock button real quick just as I got by her car. When I was walking through Dillard's, if I was a white man and I was dressed the same way that I was dressed that day, I doubt she would have said and pulled her daughter to the side and waited for me to clear. I doubt it. Maybe she would have, but I strongly doubt it. And why do they have that? Why did both of them have those reactions? Based on what they've seen the media portraying online, based on what's being selected to portray online. That's why.
You're not living in reality. You're living in a fictional world. That's what we're trying to open your eyes to here. I'm not telling you to be afraid of white men. I'm not telling you to be afraid of white people. But you need to know what the truth is. The truth shall set you free. All right, let's go.
And incredibly, Jackie's kids did go back to school today. The family's
Wow,
now in the
that's
process
great.
of looking for a new home. They've created a GoFundMe to help with those moving expenses. You can find that on our website, 12news.com. Reporting in studio, Maria Stobbs, 12 News.
I'm just speechless to see her in that condition.
Speechless.
And she's
Nobody, wait, so we're not a single adjective is being used to describe the guy. We're not calling him a monster. We're not calling him an animal. We're not calling him a thug. Good Lord, what do I got to do to hear somebody call this guy a thug?
brave to talk about this.
She is. She wanted to share that story about how they all jumped in to help each other and survived this terrible attack.
And so her injuries, obviously fairly severe. How long is it going to take her to recover? She has the walker now. Is that because it appeared that she had a long slice even down the side of her face?
Right.
Yeah, the big things were just the stab wounds all over her legs and that brain bleed and the eye injury. But doctors say over time that those things will heal.
And again, all of this, they had no idea who this person was. He just showed up randomly at their door and started this attack.
Wow.
It was a complete stranger the whole time. They're thinking, who is this man? She even tried
When are
to ask
we going
him.
to deal with the violent young white male epidemic? When are we going to deal with that? Because it doesn't seem like white people want to talk. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe black people are supposed to be the ones that are constantly talking about this, the way how guys like Charlie Kirk love to talk about black on black crime.
I do got to say, I'd never heard about this story until I was on Young Don's channel. Like, I honestly believe if this was a black person that did something this crazy, this random, I believe the administration would have been talking about this today. I think J.D. Vance would have mentioned it today, especially if this was like a Hispanic person who crossed over and, crossed over the border and snuck into the country. Like if that would happen, oh my Lord, can you imagine what kind of firestorm this would have brought? But since it's a white person, they don't view it as this big crazy thing. It's just like kept hush. It's like, just keep it cool, and keep moving. It's crazy how that works, man. It's crazy. It's mind blowing to me how that works, for real.
Maybe that's what we should all be doing as a race of black influencers who speak on these current events. Just hyper fixate on it because they don't want to do anything about it. They don't seem to want to take accountability. They don't want to take responsibility. They don't want to do anything about it. And it's concerning to me. Even though it really doesn't affect me as a black man living in America. White on white violence, I guess in a domino effect, maybe. You know what I'm saying? But this seems to be white people's issue. I think the average white person would probably want me to just mind my business, right? It makes them look bad, right? There's something wrong with that, right? But it's okay when Charlie Kirk does it. It's okay when Nick Fuentes does it, right? And they lie.
Yeah, like the whole point of this is to say, not all white people are bad, not all Hispanic, not all Asian, not all black folks are bad. Every race has a little mixture of good and bad. Every race. God didn't just say, I'm going to create this race and y'all going to be bad, and I'm going to create this race and you guys are going to be the good ones. No, he just created a bunch of races. Some folks have some good intentions. Some folks have some black intentions. It's all over the place. You shouldn't just look at certain people like me and assume that I'm going to harm you on my way to the P.O. box. You shouldn't look at folks like me and assume that I'm going to harm you in Dillard's. And that's what this whole media stuff, that's what it makes people feel. It makes people feel like that. I had somebody break into my car once and steal a bunch of stuff. Stole some checks and everything. They went to Denny's with my checks at like 1 a.m. and wrote a hot check. Just wrote the check and left. That person was a white person. They had video of this guy eating and then writing the check and giving it to the lady. White person. It was actually 4 white folks sitting at the table eating. I saw the picture of them. But most folks would have said, oh, it must have been a black person that stole. No, it was a group of white folks, actually. So all white people are not bad. All white people aren't good. All black folks aren't bad. All black folks aren't good. It's a mixture of everything, man.
I'm just giving you the numbers. I'm giving you the truth.
Who are you? And
cool.
he wouldn't respond.
Wow, he just broke in the house.
Somehow entered through an unlocked door. But yeah, that's how he got in, according to police.
Wow. Well, thank goodness they are recovering. That's great news to hear that the daughters are at least back at school.
Yeah.
Maria, thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Yeah, clearly he was trying to rape the daughter. That was his intention because he wasn't stabbing her. She sustained no stab wounds, so he was on top of her. What do you think he was going to try and do? And that shouldn't be surprising. Most white women that are the subject of sexual assault, they are victimized by white men. But it is the black man that they are taught.
The stats are right there, man. The stats scream at you right there.
Are victimized by white men. But it is the black man that they are taught to be afraid of. It is the Latino man that they are taught to be afraid of. It's a trans person that they're supposed to be afraid of. Right. Crazy. Yeah. Well, that's that situation. I thought, we should put a light on this because I know nobody's going to.
Yeah. So again, Young Don Reacts. I'm a huge fan of his channel. I think he's got some really cool stuff going on there. And like he mentioned earlier, he felt like he had to shine a little light on this situation. I felt the same way. There's so many people in this country who don't get a fair shake based on prejudice. And when people hear the word prejudice, it like gives them this thought of like, oh, I'm not prejudiced. It just means you prejudge someone. That's all it means. We're all a little bit prejudiced, everybody. So my perspective is, if I see a man walking down the street, honestly, I don't care if he's white or black or Hispanic. I don't care what he is. I'm going to have the same mentality towards that guy as I would anybody else, because I don't see a race being better or worse than anybody else. I just don't. And you shouldn't either. The media has to reduce this mentality and this narrative that they've been driving where it's like, black people are bad. You should be scared of black folks because they do this kind of stuff. I'm telling y'all, most black folks that you meet, most black folks in this world are good, meaning people. I'm telling you, obviously I haven't met all of them, but I've met plenty. A lot of them are my employees. A lot of them are my friends. A lot of them are my siblings. A lot of them are my schoolmates. Went through college I've dealt with all kinds of folks, and I'm telling you, I cannot sit here and tell you that one race is nicer than a different race, or one race is smarter than a different race. I couldn't tell you that. It's just not what I've seen. I've owned businesses. I've gone to different functions. I've gone to different college meetings and meetups. I've gone to all kinds of things, and I cannot sit here and tell you, oh yeah, I'm telling you right now, this race is smarter than that race. It's crazy. I can't sit here and tell you like, oh yeah, this race will steal from you, but that one won't. We got to kill that whole vibe, man. We got to kill it. So that's all that I got for y'all today. I appreciate you watching the video. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to continue building this thing one like and one subscription at a time. So leave your feedback. Excuse me. Let me know what your comments on this whole situation are. Have you ever been prejudged in a situation? Have you ever prejudged anyone else in a situation? I'd be curious to know that as well. So let me know your thoughts on everything, man. Talk to you later. God bless. Peace.